Hi, I'm Christina Whitney, a Handi Quilter studio educator. Let me tell you about our Ruler of the Month Club 8, Boundless Borders. Let's talk about some ruler safety. One of the most important things that you need to have are your ruler base. It's the little tabletop that goes underneath the fabric that's going to extend that table out. You also want to make sure you have a surefoot. This surefoot has the higher profile to prevent the rulers from hopping over and causing damage. So those two things you definitely want to have. The third thing is handy grip. It is just a little sticky sandpaper that you put on the back of your rulers that helps to hold the ruler in place so it's not shifting as you're quilting. So those are the three things that you will want to have with working with rulers. So this month's ruler is called our pointed arc. It's a really fun ruler, and so let me show you what you can do with this ruler. Let's go down here to the fabric. You can see that I've already stitched out some designs here. So let me just show you this first one. I'm going to move the machine a little bit out of the way so I can get the ruler there. I placed the ruler down and I just stitched right along the ruler. That's the basic shape of this ruler. I then went back and added a curve just to change it up a little bit. So that's an important thing with rulers, is that you can mix and match rulers, you can embellish on what you've already quilted with your rulers, and you can see that on this one right here, I went back and did some scribble stitching in between, and you can see the difference in the look between these that are left plain and these that have the extra stitching. So play with these rulers and try different things. You can also, if you look between right here and right here, you can see a little bit of a difference in the shape of the actual design. This one I went all the way from to point. This one I made it a little bit shorter, so if I had a shorter border, I could just make it fit in there, and it just changes how much open area is in the middle. So every border could be a little bit different. Okay, let's show you this design down here. This one, I only used the left-hand side of my ruler. So I placed the ruler down, and you might be able to see I drew some lines already on my quilt top. This is using a water-soluble marker. You could also use handy pencil or any kind of a marking tool that you want. And go ahead and mark those out, but make sure you test it first on your fabric. Okay? So back to this ruler. I'm going to line it up, and my hopping foot is going to be, or actually, sorry, the needle will be 1/4 of an inch from the ruler. The hopping foot will hug right up against this ruler. And so I want to position my ruler so that it is 1/4 of an inch away from my marked line. And same with my top. So you'll notice I'm not using these grid lines to line it up straight. I'm on an angle. So I'm lining it up 1/4 of an inch from here and 1/4 of an inch from this marked line. I'm going to stitch up, pause with my needle in the down position, and I'm going to rotate the ruler around, hugging it up against my foot, and then I'm going to rotate this ruler until this part is 1/4 of an inch away from my marked line, and then stitch it down, pausing, and again, same thing. Hug it up against the foot, rotate it until I've got it 1/4 of an inch, and continue around. So that's a fun design to play with. Let me show you some stitching with this ruler. So we're going to bring this machine over. And I'm wanting to start right on this seam. So I'm going to find the position I want to start on, bring up my bobbin thread. I'm going to do a little tie off. Now I'm going to put the ruler in position, hugging it up against my foot. And then on this side, I'm going to use my grid lines. and make sure that my grid lines are even with my seam. Okay? You might have noticed that I already have handy grip on this ruler to help hold it in position. So as I start stitching, the ruler's not going to shift. I'm taking my time slowly, especially around those curves. And I like to pause up at the top, reposition my hand. I don't want to have my hand on this side of the ruler when I'm stitching over here because I don't have that control. So I'm going to shift my hand over, stitching down, and I'm going to walk my hand over also right here. So I've got complete control as I'm stitching. My low bobbin has been detected. We're going to leave that low bobbin and keep stitching. So I'm going to keep my needle in the down position, rotate my ruler, shift my ruler over, again lining up on that seam line with the grid marks, holding the ruler 3-point pressure, up I go, slowly around these curves, pausing at the point. I'm going to shift my hand. If you are a beginner ruler or a beginner with using rulers, I do recommend always stopping with the needle in the down position and always stopping anytime you need to shift your hand. So once you've had a little bit more experience, sometimes you can shift your hand a little bit while you're going. So let's go ahead and we're going to shift one more time, lining it up, and we're going to stitch. Hugging that ruler on those curves. Okay, so that is our pointed arc template. It's a lot of fun and you can come up with so many different designs for this ruler. Have fun quilting.